Now, the Daily Guide is reporting this morning Bawumia Adaklu Chiefs sign fresh deal. And it has a picture of Dr. Bawumia addressing the chiefs and people of Adaklu. And then Ghana Armed Forces refutes military interference there. And 4 MPs brouhaha, Backbench suspends parliament. And there's a picture here which has been making rounds since yesterday. So Cynthia Morrison, one of those who was filed to go independent, is in a picture with Kennedy Japan standing. Then Alexander Afenyo-Markin is holding the hands of both Kennedy Japan and Cynthia Morrison. And I don't know what peace pact or it was going round.
Yeah, it was going round. And I saw reports that at the time I saw it on some news portals, some of which I believed. I don't doubt their credibility, so I believed it until I heard from Cynthia Morrison herself indicating that she was still contesting as an independent candidate. So did Kwadwo Asante also indicate that he's still contesting as an independent candidate, which means that the earlier story about these two persons, rescinding their decision, not true.
Wow. I mean, the pictures created the impression that this was a united front, and that this front has been united because they need to move past their attempt to take over their leadership. It is party and government and Ghana first.
I actually asked my lawyer friends what this would mean, because the speaker had declared their seats vacant. Can they decide to contest independent and then rescind their decisions, and that's just walk back to parliament? We're having that conversation. We're like, that's a possibility.
But if the speaker's decision was reversed, and I've seen some side right the difference between a reversal and a possible reversal and the staying of that particular decision, that it is possible for you to say you are staying in the hand of the person, but in effect you are reversing the decision, as in you are asking that the people continue in parliament because the decision has already taken place. You have declared basically the seat vacant in the first place, so your action will be to reverse that decision and not hold on to it. But others also believe that the staying can produce the same effect anyway. Effectively, if they are being asked to come back to parliament, and we believe the Supreme Court's action is the most potent now and is binding on all, immediately the current situation is that they are still members of parliament, and they have not been removed from parliament.
Now let's listen to the speaker, Alban Sumana Kingsford Bagbing, yesterday as he gave his ruling.
As you may recall, on Thursday I informed the House, pursuant to Standing Order 18 of the Standing Orders of Parliament, on the occurrence of vacancies in the House in relation to 4 honorable members. Yesterday, I received a process from the Supreme Court, which is a ruling from the Supreme Court pursuant to an ex parte application directing Parliament to recognize and allow the 4 affected members of Parliament to duly represent their constituents and conduct full scope of duties of their offices as members of Parliament pending the final determination of a suit filed by Honorable Alexander Afenyo-Markin. By Article 102 of the Constitution, 1992, and Order 64(1) of the Standing Orders of Parliament, I note that we currently have a quorum to transact business, but not to take decisions. I want to read the said Article 102 of the Constitution. It reads, "A quorum of Parliament, apart from the person presiding, shall be 1/3 of all the members of Parliament. As presently constituted, the numbers definitely is far above 1/3. of the members of Parliament. By Article 104, the numbers are not sufficient for us to take decisions. And I'll quote Article 104. Article 1041 says, except as otherwise provided in this Constitution, matters in Parliament shall be determined by the votes of the majority of members present and voting, with at least half of all the members of Parliament present. Honourable members, we don't have at least half of all the members of Parliament present. Consequently, in view of the current circumstances, the fact that there is a question on the composition and constitution of Parliament, and having regard to the public interest and the exigencies of the state of affairs in Parliament, I will proceed to, in accordance with Standing Orders 59, adjourn the House indefinitely. That is sine die. I want to quote Standing Orders 59:1. It says, the Speaker may, in consultation with leadership, suspend a meeting of the House indefinitely or for a period determined by the Speaker, having regard to the public interest and the exigencies of the state of affairs in the country. Honourable members, I have consulted leadership and I am exercising my discretion to decide to suspend the meeting of the House indefinitely. The House is accordingly adjourned sine die.
It is a notorious fact that we remain the majority caucus of this parliament.
The NDC members of parliament are in the majority in Ghana's parliament. We've made our position and it's so clear.
Having listened carefully to the reasoning of the Speaker and the President at Michael Quay's time and the party's own understanding of what amounts to leaving their poll, it is incongruous to say that when a party a member decides to run independently for Parliament, he has not yet crossed carpet. I mean, he is there in the open battling his own party. The proper step would have been to go to the High Court. 99.1. The High Court shall have jurisdiction to hear and determine any question whether A, the person has been validly elected as a member of Parliament, or the seat of a member has become vacant. So the question of vacancy of parliamentary office is given to the High Court, not given to the Supreme Court.
Okay, so you heard earlier from Speaker Alban Sumana Kingsford Bagbing when he suspended Parliament indefinitely. You heard from Alexander Penyumaking insisting he's majority leader. You also heard from Casey Latoforson also insisting he's majority leader. And then former Justice of the Supreme Court, Justice William Atuguba. So that's our reality now. It's where we are. And yesterday, Raymond, you and I were on the Joy News channel when the Speaker gave that ruling.
That's true.
And the NDC has commended the Speaker for the exhibition of maturity in his handling of the issue. But I also would agree that the Speaker handled the issue in a way that could be seen as a win-win. However, the real problem is the business that would have been done in Parliament within the next 4 weeks that can no longer be done.
Including, I mean, of course, some of them can be moved to different times. Some of them actually can be rearranged. But when you are getting to, and Parliament said it will sit for like a month before they rise finally. Yes. So we don't know. Again, I mean, these issues could be resolved in a week or two, or say under a week. If the Speaker's consultations involve what's happening at the Supreme Court, then we have like 2 more weeks to go because they had like a week or so to file the main statement.
7 days to file.
Yes. When they finish with that, then they'll set the dying date for them to now go and hear the case substantively. Then they can be, if it will be speedily dealt with, it will have to be clearly stated. We heard ahead of time that the Speaker was filing some processes.
Yeah.
I don't know whether he shelved that process, or because the expectation is that if you are attached to a case, you have to respond to it. Except you want decision to be made in your absence, and you are deliberately asking that in your absence, they can go ahead and still deliver justice without you, and that you don't want any form of representation at all in this particular case. So we need to know whether or not the Speaker still went ahead and the day ended and he filed that particular response, or whichever stay that he wanted of the Supreme Court's decision that we were told early on. That would put it in a different perspective. It may even drag this matter a little bit further, and we may go back and forth on it. But I am one of those who was impressed with he could have taken the road of flexing muscles, of actually saying, well, I also had an independent body of state. We will do what we want to do, regardless of what's happening on the outside. You know, in the morning I had said here that you might construe the conduct of the Supreme Court, especially how they dealt with this matter, not even the content of what they did, how they dealt with it, as problematic. You might even take the view that you do not like what they have said, or you find it nonsensical. The expectation is that you would subject yourself to it, and that it should be binding on you, because you have created a system that gives finality on interpretation of law and on these processes to that institution. Yeah. Others disagree, but for sanity to prevail in the system, we cannot have two major institutions of state locked head on and always engaging in this kind of a needless battle. And I say needless battle because we could have resolved this matter without any difficulty at all if we put aside the lack of principle in this country, because we are where we are because some people today they support Kotoko. Tomorrow morning they will change to Diana Stars. Are they still in the Premier League?
Yes, they are.
Yes. They will change to Diana Stars or any of the other teams that are abundant in there. I mean, this is football. But if people lack principles, they switch positions anyhow, depending on how or when they feel comfortable or when it inures to their benefit. That is underpinning the current kind of engagement within this. And I was equally worried about this situation where who is what is perhaps more important than what happens in the House. It is, to me, tangential to the operation of the Parliament if the ultimate aim of every parliamentarian is to serve we the people that put them there. And again, I was also excited when I heard Atufosin and Co say, oh, we will repeal the E-levy, we will do all the things we said we will do with the opportunity to do them, and whether or not that could happen within the space. But now we have had no brawl like we've seen in times past. The Ghanaian system is deemed to have evolved. It is a Jojo system.
Yeah.
Fathers, uncles, and people's grandfathers cannot reduce themselves to fisticuffs. You understand? It's the opposite of what we have engaged for our system. So the way well, and people even, I don't know where the people came from. People even bashed party shirt wearing people,
NPP,
yes, shirt wearing people to the place, and completely needless act. To show what? Show of force, to show that you have numbers, to show that you can commandeer something to happen on the ground. So the position taken by the Speaker, and it's not without repercussion. I'll be reading that list, and yes.
$250 million financial stability facility from the World Bank.
Yes,
$250 million energy sector loan, another $350 million.
Yes,
and
approval of those Supreme Court
judges,
nominees.
And,
yes,
the expenditure in advance of appropriation also.
That's the budget we expected to happen.
And again, bring back.
There is one that is key. One that we
all
LI 2462, which allowed mining in forest reserves and all the other areas. We expected that to be, in fact, I was expecting that today, as Parliament came to sit down, or last week They would have spent quality time working on it quickly and removing that LI. I don't know why we are having a conversation. It's as if we have moved on to the politics, and the things that we all agree is over and above our partisan politics. That is our environment, and the protection of same appears to have taken a back seat. I am extremely worried about that because, I mean, yeah, see, these people, they'll scramble to the end of the year. There will be an election, there will be a new parliament going into the end of a new year. This fight that we are seeing like that is a matter of 2 months. But the destruction of our environment and our water bodies, it is permanent. Sometimes when they mention the years, I ask myself, it will have to be my great-great-great-grandchildren. And I'm not sure where they will be living on this earth again. But it will have to take generations for them to still feel the impact of the level of destruction we are subjecting our own to. And the impunity with which people can even attack journalists in that process. So it cannot be that when it comes to partisan politics, it occupies center stage. Everything else takes backstage. No, that's not a sensible way of running a state. It's not a sensible way of ensuring. And these people, sometimes they forget that they have a responsibility.
You see,
they forget that they are supposed to be our representatives. You get what I'm trying to say?
Hey, look, Raymond, I mean, I get you.
I see them creating the impression as if they are lots on their own.
That's the problem in this country, where at the end of it, even the citizenry are concerned about who constitutes majority than the business that Parliament has to deal with. Because of the disagreement on who constitutes majority, the Speaker has had to adjourn indefinitely. I mean, suspend Parliament indefinitely. My point here is simply this. Who loses?
Yeah.
Who loses?
And again, because you are in government, because you have government business to prosecute,
you lose more.
You lose more.
You lose more than the opposition.
Because we don't ask opposition questions about why haven't you gotten the money for us? Why haven't you like this repeal of the airline?
Exactly.
We are asking you, government.
Marking and his team should actually know that at the end of it,
they should not rejoice over this, really.
You don't have to, because you would lose more. Because if you cannot have government business, you lose. So what you need to do, for instance, that LR that you need to repeal, the budget that you need to have passed, and appropriations, signed and everything, so that we know that the first quarter of 2025 is catered for. That's something you have to do. The $250 million from the World Bank, you need that money. You need a $250 million loan.
We need every peso in any way.
You need it.
We still have our CD roaming in the 16s, pretending that we don't know that's what's happening.
Funds. You need these funds. So just don't sit back and think that, oh, that's the end of it, that's the end of it. And, talking about the minority, you looking forward to repealing the e-levy. They could have repealed the e-levy.
Yes.
NPP can actually repeal the e-levy because the Article 108 says that while you cannot increase the tax, you can alter it by reduction. So they can reduce the e-levy to zero. 0%, and that would essentially mean a repeal of the e-levy. They can reduce the betting tax to 0%, and that would mean a repeal of the betting tax. So that's something they could have done.
And finally, if they did so, I'm sure John Mahama and Mahmoud Bawumia would all agree.
Anyway,
because they are saying the same thing.
The same thing.
The only stumbling block is the President of the Republic and his current government.